Season 3 of What You Doing. We are back in action. I am Aaron Burrell alongside
Paul Guarino. How's it going?
And we are your hosts of What You Doing, joined by another illustrious guest, because that's all we do. We bring illustrious guests.
Only illustrious.
And we are joined by the one and only two-time NEC champion, Rob Johnson. Rob, I would announce your years of that you attended Sacred Heart, but you got more degrees than the law allows. So I'm going to leave that to you, please.
2016 undergrad, SHU alum. 2017 IO Psych. First master. Sorry, 2022. Technically 23 because I stayed on an extra year to get my MFA.
Okay.
And hopefully, fingers crossed, 2020. I think 27 alum when I finished my EDD, man. So like 4, technically 5 times, but I'll just
Dr.
say 4
Johnson.
times. Yeah, Dr. J. We'll see, you know. That's what the students are saying. Like, you know, every time I talk to them, it's like, Rob, you're still going. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. Once I start, I can't. You know, I'm not pulling back. I'm not gonna quit. So yeah. But yeah, man, almost. 4-time alum, bro.
That's crazy.
All from here. All my degrees.
That might be a record.
Maybe.
Also, to
put me in the rafters.
To think about it, I mean, you played with a ton of guys who, obviously, you know, football team's a massive team.
Yeah.
As far as I know, you might be the first one to be the doctor.
It's possible, but you know, we get so disconnected from folks. Like, you know, they go on, they don't.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not true. Justin Martell, he actually came. He's the reason why I even had, like, he's actually a pivotal piece as to why I'm still here, because he got me my graduate assistant position when I got my first master's degree, because he was finally leaving. You know, and he went, I forget, he's got his PhD in something like psychology. He's out in like Oregon or Washington. Now, he literally came to visit me random, out of the blue, last semester. I was like, yo, what the hell are you doing? We're talking. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm just, you know, I'm just doing my thing, sports psychology and stuff. I was like, what? He's like, he's off the radar. You wouldn't even know.
That's crazy.
That's why it's crazy, because, like, obviously there's a lot of people on the football teams, and it's like, if they ever actually did something where it was like, what are they doing now? Like, what you doing now? But it's crazy, like, the alumni basis of just the football team.
Just our group of guys, right? Yeah. Like, he was a senior when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
So, you know, but he stuck around years after, and we always take
like, you probably played at Sacred with, like, I don't know, like, what, 200 guys maybe?
Yeah, I mean, and if you include transfer guys too, it's like guys you see for a season and they're gone. Don't even remember them after a few years.
And now, I mean, we could do a whole podcast on how transferring has changed from the time when you were in school to now.
Bring G Hill back on for that.
Oh my god! And NIL, you would have been getting paid.
You know, it would have been nice to get a couple bucks. You know, I mean,
get some free pizzas
instead of trying to, you know, get some scraps from Flick.
Yeah.
They don't even call it Flick anymore, by the way.
Yeah, free swipes.
That's crazy. But Rob, we like to, you know, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We like to kick this off with the journey. You know, how you ended up at Sacred Heart. So if you want to walk the people through that.
Yeah. So originally, everybody knows I'm from Poughkeepsie, New York. And for me, and for a lot of people, right, at that time, and really all kids at 17, 18 who played sports, it's D1 or die, right? So, like, I had an offer to go to American International College, but they were D2. And the other thing that influenced my decision back then was, like, Springfield, Mass wasn't really different from Poughkeepsie, New York, right? And as it's advertised, right, it's Fairfield, Connecticut, but we know Bridgeport's down the block. So I came to SHU. It's funny because they initially wouldn't accept me because I didn't have the grades. So Coach Darren Edwards, he calls me.
My guy.
Coach Ed, he hits me up. He's like, listen, we might have a spot. You want to come and visit? And this is June of my senior year. Everybody's already signed, like, you know where you're going, everything. And also at that time, like, decommitting was like a sin.
Right.
Like, if you decommitted from your school, you were looked like a traitor, right?
Exactly,
so, but I'm like, it's D1. I'm out. So, you know, I visit, and Linda's is the new building, right? And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And the environment was very different from a Poughkeepsie, right? Poughkeepsie, you know, low income, urban area. And to be in this environment was just totally different. And I felt something when I visited. I was like, okay, cool. And again, my only D1 offer. So, you know, I ended up here, was in the newspapers and everything back home. And that's what really influenced my decision. And, like, the rest was history. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is Poughkeepsie upstate?
So it depends on who you ask. I mean, when you're from Poughkeepsie, you don't give a like you don't care if somebody considers you upstate. You know, if you're from the town, you're from the town. Like so, that's really how we play it. But you know, upstate won't claim us, and neither will downstate. Downstate is like that's the boondocks, right?
Yeah,
they really think it's the woods,
right?
And farms. Like and just outside the city, absolutely. But
I know people who consider Westchester upstate. So.
Exactly, yeah. So imagine Poughkeepsie, right? We're the last stop on the metro.
Well, you might as well be in Canada.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but yeah, I mean, it depends on who you ask, but you know, when you're from the town, it doesn't even matter. So,
so obviously, I mean, Marist, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Marist in Poughkeepsie now?
So Marist was an option. My brother actually graduated from Marist. Okay. Thank God for my older brother. You know, Dwayne. He works there too now, running their Liberty Partnerships program, which is a pipeline program for middle school and high school students to learn more about college. And yeah, had he not exposed me to college, I wouldn't have even like really taken it serious. Mm-hmm. And I was just telling the story the other day. Like I remember my senior year, he was like on me about applying to Marist, but like there was just something about it. I was like, nah, man. I was like, I'm not really. It's right, and I knew I needed to be in another environment. I just didn't know how to verbalize it and explain it to people at the time. So, so yeah, it was interesting because when I visited Sacred Heart, I was like, oh, it's kind of like a Marist, but you know, it's away from home, right? Yeah. I won't have the influence of being distracted, you know, while I'm in my pursuits of my degree and just trying to play, right? So yeah, Marist is right there. The Culinary Institute of America is not far from us. Vassar, my dad works at Vassar College, so you know both of those institutions are on opposite ends of the city, right? So, but yeah, man, I ended up here, and I think it. I mean, it worked out it truly did work out for the best. Like I needed a different environment, like. For who I was and what I wanted to be, like I had to be in a different environment.
So, do you ever think about the decommitment to and then the commitment to Sacred Heart?
No, it doesn't even cross.
No. I'm saying like how. No. Not from
like respect to AIC too. Yeah. By the way, like because nowadays think about it, kids do it all the time.
Yeah,
and then
no. I didn't mean it from that perspective. I meant it from like I meant from like your trajectory, like how your life would have been different if you didn't make.
Oh, I think about it all the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, like I think
like
about
how
it all
crazy it because now, like you said, you've been here for what 13 years.
Yeah, man. So, since summer 2012, I got here and I have not left. Like this has been my second home, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, no, I do think about that all the time, and you know, I'm a believer in Christ, man. I believe in God, and I think He doesn't make mistakes, and He puts you where you can be most impactful and have a purpose, and that's what I've been able to do here. Like even when I didn't know that all the stuff that I do now was in the cards, so that's what was most important to me. And yeah, man, I think about that like regularly. Actually, it does cross my mind.
No, because really when you said that, I just thought about it when you obviously 4 degrees and all that stuff. So that's why I was just like, yo, it's crazy, like to think about that one moment changed your life. Basically.
That one phone call, Coach Ed, he calls and he's like, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm there. You know, so
that's dope.
It's crazy. I mean, as someone who has known you, from your time in undergrad to now, you know, obviously you were on the football team. I was on the soccer team. So, we cross paths often. And then, I found out, okay, he's Jamaican as well. That immediately, I'm like, all right, okay, we cool people now. But just to see, like, how, because I remember when you got here on campus, you had the beard, everybody. People were so afraid. Oh, he's scared.
Which is crazy. It's like, yo, anybody that knows me, listen, bro, anybody that actually like spends time around me, like knows I'm mad chill. Unless, I'm given a reason, which, you get that during college.
Of course, yeah.
But like, and that actually impacted my experience a lot, right? Because to look the way for those of you that don't have context, the way I look now, I was a 315-pound nose guard, like you said, beard down to God knows where. And again, like I look like a grown man, and I'm a college freshman, right? Yeah. So, and even sitting in classes, right? Like when you go from like a quote unquote low performing urban high school academically to a Sacred Heart, and like there's a culture shock there, right? Especially. I was explaining this in a class, a global leadership class the other day, where we talked about inclusive leadership, and one of my biggest culture shocks was, coming to college and watching students cry over a B-. I was jumping for joy. What? Like my freshman year was the first year I got all B's like in my life, right? So, it's all about perspective, and it's all about like how you adjust and adapt to environment. And I took the most from this environment and crafted my own life out of it, right? So. But yeah, that was the thing, right? It influenced my experiences, and it influenced how people saw me, and then in turn influenced how I saw myself, right? Which you know, what I started to understand after graduating was like, no, I can create, like, whatever people see of me, like that doesn't matter. It's how I see myself inside, and how do I materialize it. And you know, weight loss journey, the whole, you know, and working and getting my master's, and really focusing in on like life stuff, and not just being, you know, because as a student athlete, like, you get so wrapped up in the identity of playing football, like you're a football player, but that comes to an end.
Exactly.
Right. And a lot of guys, you know, I talked to G Hill about this a few years ago, and a few other guys. It's like they didn't know how to shed that identity, because once you can't put this helmet back on, then who are you?
Right.
Right. So I was always in tune to a degree with who I was off the field too. So, and I think that balance is extremely important, especially for our young people today. You know, where they get wrapped up in these labels and stuff like that. I was like, no, what do you do out? Like, you're more than just, you know, somebody hitting the court, or, you know, the gridiron, or whatever you want to call it. So,
and especially as you mentioned, nowadays kids, you get that label even earlier than before. You know, when we were in high school, it was like you had to be like a junior. You know, maybe if you were really good, you got to take your sophomore year.
Yeah.
You got 8th graders getting highlight tapes, 7th graders getting highlight tapes.
Nah, I seen the 4th graders
rank.
Nah, I seen the 4th graders.
I heard they're using AI to enhance the tapes.
I saw one where a kid threw, like, an 8th grader through like an 80-yard pass. I'm like, come on, Jamarcus Russell wasn't doing that. But as you mentioned, you know, like, shedding that identity and learning these things, you know, you are a true student of life, I would say. You know, like,
appreciate that, man.
You have, you know, again, as I've said, I've seen you. We at one point we were neighbors at Park Ridge.
Was it PG? You know? Yeah, I mean Park Ridge. Yeah.
So that was what, the Garden or something like that, or
I don't know
Ridge,
what they call. They change the names
but,
every year, man. It's insane.
But you know, first of all, your academic journey. You know, you talked about, you know, growing as a student. When you came in, did you know what you wanted to do post grad? You know, how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a funny story. So I knew I wanted to do psych, right? Like, I always was interested in psych because I was interested in how people made decisions, right? But then I started to learn that, like, sociology is also a component in behavioral science. So I stuck with psych, right? And I didn't think I didn't know professionally what I wanted to do. I just knew, like, all right, I'm gonna do psych, figure out how people think, figure out how people are conditioned and learn. But I did get a sociology minor and was able to take a lot of courses that, you know, really just enlightened me, right? So yeah, it was my senior year, and you know how, like, when you get to that tail end of, like, your sport when you know you're done. Yeah. So I was in that phase. The body was fried. Like, I'm 21 and I feel 40. Like, bruh, you know. So it was crazy. So it was my first semester senior year, and I was doing an internship up the street at Discovery Magnet. So I did the internship in a classroom with 5th graders, and I was like, oh, hell no, because I thought I was gonna be a teacher.
I thought you were gonna say, oh,
hell no. I was like, I realized I didn't have patience for other people's kids. And I tried 7th grade thinking it would be better, and it was 10 times worse, right? Like, because I thought since they might be a little bit older or more developed, I could, like, you know.
I was a substitute teacher, so I know.
Bruh, like.
When I did high school majority because it was fun, because it was cool. But, yo, I went to middle school. I swear to you, the first day it's first period, not even first day. The kids were literally jumping off the desk. Like, I was like, I
left, bro. Yeah. Like, I was like, I can't do that. But obviously, I finished my internship hours for the requirement. And yeah, man. And so at that moment, I had to pivot. I was like, I want to help students because I know that they need the help. I was like, so how can I still help students without being as quote unquote hands-on and at that level? I was like, oh, I can help students, like, that are my current age, right? Like, now I didn't know it right then exactly at that moment, but I knew I could help them after high school, right? And slowly but surely, I started to develop a skill set through, you know, higher education and learning how to give students just the tools and resources and understanding that they need to have to better craft decisions when you're in your early 20s and you don't have guidance, and you don't know what's coming next, right? Like, or you decided on a major and now you have a change of heart, but you're a junior, like, things like that. It happens all the time, right? So yeah, that's essentially, like, how I ended up in this space in higher education, because I think that's where you can be the most impactful, right? Like, when you're a teen or a young adolescent, like, you know, all of your decisions are, you literally just, you're existing. You're not really making intentional decisions, right? But when you're in college, you can make more intentional decisions to figure out what your life is going to look like for the future. So.
Definitely. And I mean, it's a perfect segue into one of the things that, you know, for me, as someone, as I mentioned, just, you know, seeing how your life and career has gone from college on, obviously.
Yeah.
One of the most impactful things that I have seen you do is your work with the Multicultural Center, which is no longer here. However, you know, when we were both in school, we didn't have a space like that. You know, like we just found each other, and then it was just like, oh, come over to my dorm, you know, whatever. We figured out, you know, how we were going to maneuver, but we didn't have a dedicated space like that. And so I can only, you know, I've seen the testimonies from students and the impact. So could you tell us about, you know, how that came to be and the impacts you were able to make on students?
Oh, for sure, man. So, and just to, you know, I guess make the state, like we're still making the impact, right? And it just looks different. It's just rebranded. So in 2020, obviously we know all the civil unrest that took place in our country, and it's kind of still, it kind of echoes into today's current situations, which we won't talk about. But yeah, man, in 2020 when that happened, I was looking for a transition out of the admissions field, anyways, because I was making an impact, but it wasn't really sustainable, because I would meet kids on the road, and I would be educating them. They would be from areas that I was from, right? And I'd be educating them on the admissions process. But when I'm going to private Catholic schools, like, these kids already know about, like, how to calculate weighted GPAs and like everything about college admissions, right? So I recognize, like, the disparities in experience. So I'm like, how can I still support students that come from areas that I come from? And what can I do? And the opportunity in the summer of 2020 came about to create the Multicultural Center. And you know, from experience, right, we've never really had diversity initiatives, intentional diversity initiatives here prior to that. So it gave me the opportunity to, you know, really build a structure for support for all underrepresented students, or students who come from historically marginalized experiences, whether you're a student with a disability, or, you know, you're a Black or brown student, you're an international student, a commuter student. Like, all of those demographics need guidance and support in a very unique and tailored way to that experience. And in a lot of ways, I filled those gaps from 2020 to 2025. You know, I got to shout out all of the people that I was connected to, because it wasn't just me. I know I was the face, and, you know, I was a part of organizing a lot of those things, but shout out to Anna, you know, our former assistant director, Maurice Nelson, our former chief diversity officer. I'm forgetting a few people, but these people were equally as pivotal as I was. I just happened to have the institutional context and knowledge to make the impact, you know, more magnified, right, in a way that students and faculty and staff could really feel it and participate in it, and find their way to engage in cultural immersion and cultural exchange. So.
That's dope. It's dope. I mean, I loved seeing it. I mean, we had, you know, there were different initiatives. We had Emoji, I want to say, on campus, and I don't want to,
or Emoji. I remember.
Yeah,
I remember.
them.
I went.
Because they were around. You know, they did have their space, but there was nothing on the scale.
Having a dedicated, like, a physical space is a huge step, right? Because you know, especially when you leave that level of a change up to students alone, it's not sustainable, right? It's literally not sustainable, right? And a lot of times you're dealing with kids who don't know what to look for, where to go to when they are looking for. Again, it's not just DEI initiatives. These are developmental, you know, conversations that not just Black and brown students should be having, or students who are part of historically marginalized experiences. Like, all students, right? Like, even if you're extremely privileged, you should be learning how to engage with the world, because you're going to go out into the real world and you're going to encounter people that you've never met with before, right? So it's very important to learn how to engage with various cultures and experiences, and that's what we were doing, and that's what we still do to a degree, you know.
Of course,
it's
you always make an impact. As long as you're on campus, you're going to make an impact.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to pivot to two things real quick. We love to talk out. We love to shout out our SHU love. You did just get married.
Oh, for sure.
To a Sacred Heart alum as well. We will get to that. But
I know you see this, huh?
but prior to I wanted to discuss, also you spoke about, communities and students finding their community.
Yeah.
I want to give you a moment to shout out. I know you're in a fraternity. Shout out to Good Brothers as well.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and the difference that you all were able to make as well with that?
Yeah. So in talking about like our experiences and, at the time, again, I knew who I was outside of my sport, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you got to think contextually, there were so many things happening during our time at Sacred Heart. Social media is booming, right? Technology is booming in terms of like what we're utilizing to consume social media, and just media in general or information in general, right? So, I remember I got my first iPhone my freshman year of college, bro. Okay. Which sounds wild. Like right, I had a BlackBerry.
Yeah, I had a BlackBerry freshman year.
I had a BlackBerry, bro, coming into college, right? I said to the students, I was like, BlackBerry, what the heck?
What's your BBM?
AOL, right? Like, all that stuff. So I had I switched over to an iPhone 4S, right? And again, on that iPhone 4S, I would witness, like on Twitter, like the murders of unarmed Black people, right? Like this was a thing. This was and it was a societal issue. And when we talk about issues that take place societally, and institutions are silent, right? And institutions can't be silent when these types of things are happening because it affects their students, right? So I felt myself becoming a little bit more radicalized because of the lack of acknowledgement, of what was happening, right? And that's what had me leaning more towards learning about African roots, history, Black experiences, African American history. And when Ev Pittman, rest in peace, my line brother, brought the opportunity to me, Mo, Rudy, like my entire line, to Mark, everybody. I was like, this is what I can do to make an impact, right? Because if the school's not going to do it, what can I do for myself, right? And that changed my life. Being a part of IOTA changed my life. And it still changes my life to this day because, being in a Divine Nine and having that network is like unmatched. Like there's no comparison where you can find intellectual, professional Black people all converging into one space. Like it's unmatched, right? So doing that was my expression of making sure to create space for myself and other Black male students at the time, because there wasn't anything other than just being an athlete, right? And and there were times where we would be friends with people who were Black men that weren't athletes, and they would always be assumed to be athletes, right? Just because of proximity to us, or just because they were Black. Right. So we changed the game at the time, but I think we were before our time, right?
Definitely.
And we were before our time, man. At SHU, because if we had what we have now, oh man, we'd be booming. But we do have Divine Nine organizations on campus. We have Alpha Kappa Alpha, a sorority.
Wait, really?
We have some young men who are a part of Omega Psi Phi that they're not chartered here, but they. Yeah. So, but to your earlier point, the students are finding their communities and their opportunities to still be within community, right? Like be attached to something that's related to their culture and their experience. So definitely. If you don't create it for them, they'll find it or create it for themselves. So
yeah. And obviously you mentioned your brothers. Your brothers were, now I forgot about this before, but now I'm remembering your brothers were a part of your wedding, which is perfect pivot into our SHU love. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So Alyssa, my wife, we got married back in August 3rd, 2025. So in the midst of still being in school, we were dealing with all of the transition of my previous office being dissolved, right? And I'm we're on our honeymoon, and I'm making an announcement to my students, which is it's emotional, right? Because
I remember that, and I was like, yo, this is crazy, because I put the pieces together, and I was
I'm literally in St. Lucia, and I have to, and I'm trying to low key play damage control to a degree to keep people, letting them know I'm still employed and I'm still here, because I guess I've built a reputation for, and again, across all students, this isn't just all of our Black and brown and Hispanic students, I treat every student with the same respect, dignity, Like, anytime they need something, like my office is like my door is literally unlocked, right? Like they can come into, like I had a student the other day, she left her phone in the office, charging her phone, and just like stuff like that, right? Like these little things that let them know you care, right? But anyways, I mentioned that because, my wife was a huge support throughout that, like, to not know if you're going to be employed and you're getting married and, and long before that, she's always been that person for me and to me. And, she I may not say it often. She knows how much, I care for and love her. And yeah, man, we're doing our thing right now. We're just building and setting a foundation so we can build a family soon. And yeah, she's my dog, man. She's my dog. Like she
also
is.
A fellow
like,
student athlete?
Yeah, man. It's crazy because her senior year, everybody calls her Tars because her last name was Tarsi. It's Johnson. But, so yeah, her, and you remember Hannah, like lights out. She was the Caitlin Clark of the NEC. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Their senior year, and Hannah was a year before her, but their senior year, they almost they lost to Robert Morris, to get to the playoffs. And then I think they watched Robert Morris get smoked by UConn in the first round. So maybe it was good that they did lose. Right. But yeah, no, she was a, student athlete, power forward, baller. She did her thing, and she didn't play basketball anymore, still staying active and whatnot. So, but yeah, no, 2 D1 athletes, and again, it's crazy looking back at who I was back then and who I am now, and she was a part of every like important milestone that allowed me to grow because she gave me the support and space to grow. Right? Had I not had that, I don't know if I'd be this far along because you need it. You need it to grow.
Definitely. Let's clap it up for SHU Love.
Yeah, SHU Love.
SHU Love.
Not True Love.
All right, it's time.
Fun SHU. Got it right now. So what was your favorite dorm on campus?
J Hill for sure.
Yeah.
J Hill was.
All right, we're 2-0.
Yeah, no, J Hill was good to me. Now, it was close between J Hill and Park Ridge. But I think it just depends on the type of person you are at the time. Like when you know what I mean? In terms of what you're looking for, right? Yeah. Like what I was I don't know if, like my junior year, Park Ridge was great because I changed a lot over that year. But when you're thinking from like a college life perspective, J Hill was the spot. Yeah. J Hill was my spot, man.
What was your favorite meal on campus?
And y'all know, again, I was the big dog. I would I would sit and flick for hours. Yeah. No, I would. No, I don't know if y'all remember. I would sit and flick for hours.
Well, everyone would. I mean, everyone would.
Yeah, no, but I would make sure to be in there so I could knock down a few meals.
Be in there for
hours, bro.
I'll go to 3 classes, come back and
we're still there, right? So it was. Yeah, no. And again, they call it 63s now, but yeah, I would. So it wasn't a meal that anybody else made. I can tell you what it was, and people would be like, "What?" So all right,
slide cookies in the toaster.
So all right, I would have. I don't remember what. Will, y'all remember Will?
Yeah,
chef?
Yeah.
So Will would make me a crazy egg white omelet or whatever case is, right? And again, this was me just being I call that version of me OG Big Back. This was just me, just being overweight football player, consuming whatever I can get my hands on. Yeah. I'll get a cinnamon raisin bagel and put some cream cheese on it, and then put the omelet in between it. Oh my God. So again, nobody, that wasn't something that So that was the favorite meal I had my freshman year, and then. I'm trying to think what else. Linda's was good, Linda's was cool. Burger from Linda's was always hit. Yeah, but once you start to grow up and you realize none of this stuff is good for you. I couldn't even imagine eating that right now. I'll be in bed for 2 days. So.
It's funny you mentioned Will, man. Shout out to Will.
Yeah, man.
Chartwell's actually, when I left college and started working at NBC, Chartwell's also sponsored our cafeteria there.
Oh, wow.
And one day I just happened to walk in there and I saw Will. He was like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What you doing here?" So funny to run into people like that later on in life.
Shout out my guy Will.
All right. Let's go. We might have to go 4 favorite professors.
Gannon. Yeah. Professor Gannon.
We got the what is it? The Mount Rushmore of Rob Johnson's professors.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to go per, if you want to go per degree, yeah. So I'll go with Gannon for undergrad psych. Like, and she's still here. Yeah. She's just the best. Like she also spoke life into me a lot. You know what I mean? Like, especially at a time where I was just like, you know, it's hard to figure out what your next step is. Everybody has that fear when you're getting ready to graduate, right? So. And she just let me know it was possible, right? So Gannon for the undergrad in psych. You know what? I'm gonna give an honorable mention. He didn't teach in the IO psych program, but Hamill, Professor, I think Ron Hamill. He was one of my best professors as well. For the psych program, masters, I'm gonna go with. Why am I blanking on his name? I just had it.
Must not really be your favorite.
Yeah, no. He was like, no. He really helped a lot. It'll come back to me. Yeah. For the MFA in film, gotta go with Todd Barnes. Like, love Todd Barnes. He's in the SCMA program. Was really flexible with me because like I was working full time and getting my master's, right? So he was super flexible with me when I needed it for with class projects and stuff like that. He taught our production class, really poured into all of us, and this is in the midst of COVID at that. So it's like it was really crazy, like shooting projects and like you gotta have social distancing and all that stuff. And for my current EDD program. I'd say Dr. Ashley Carey. She's new to the institution, but she's dope. Super dope, very, very impactful. Very knowledgeable about what we are doing in our doctoral program in terms of our research. Just all encompassing. Like, she's like unmatched, truly unmatched. So yeah, that's I guess my little Mount Rushmore.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
And just one for you. Take it back to your student athlete days. Throwback here. Whenever we've had these two-time NEC champions on, we like to ask this one. If your first championship team played this, we did.
Y'all asked me this. I don't want to look like a liar because I don't know what I said the first time. Wait, I think I remember. Go ahead.
The first championship.
We were in a hostile environment. There was a loud going on.
Yeah. So if your first championship,
it was hot.
Played second. Which team is coming out on top and why?
First yes, if I remember correctly, it was the first. I said the first team.
I think so
because they were hungrier. They were just too. They were like, I stand on that. Like, they were a hungrier team. Maybe our second team was, the second year we won, we were maybe a little bit more polished.
Okay.
But like sometimes you just need some
grit.
You need some guys that are willing to lay it out on the line. Like, everybody was we were willing to literally like get hurt, almost die, die on the field.
Keyword almost.
I'm saying like we were literally
going out there and fighting
and once it started to come together like midway through the year, and we started to say to because we kept saying, that's the other thing, like we kept saying it, like, and it was funny, and I always, and shout out to Kashadis, rest in peace. He's like, I remember that summer, he just, like, mind you, I'm a freshman going into my sophomore year, and we just went 2-9. I'm like, we're trash, bro, should I stay? But I stayed, and I'm like, I just remember Shawty, he kept saying, yo, we're good. Like, he kept talking about a championship. And I'm like, how can you talk about a championship and we just went 2-9? But like seeing him and a few other guys who were the older guys at the time put in the work, and then we just followed suit, right? So in my class, there weren't a lot of us who stuck around.
That makes sense.
80% of the guys transferred, right? But they built such a culture that allowed us to, like, we just kept it rolling. And he, like, literally, he materialized it. He manifested us winning that championship. Him and a few, like, I was like, I've never been, because I was never a part of a losing team at that point, like that bad of a losing team ever in my life. So to go from, like, damn, we really won 2 games this year. Like, and we should have I don't even know if we should have won the 2 that we won. To, like, we're just we're laying people out left and right. So, yeah, man, it was a blessing to be a part of the team at that time. I mean, I don't know. It feels like a folklore now at this point.
Yeah.
And just looking back on it and seeing where people are, and now we're the old guys telling our war stories. Of how it was back in 2014, 15, and first team, 2013 team for sure.
All right, I like that you stuck with your same answer. I like that. I like that. Rob, it's always a pleasure. We could sit here and chat with you for 10 years if we need to, man. But we appreciate your time. This has been another episode of What SHU Doing. We'll see y'all next time.